know there are so many ways to create a data graphic, but how you choose a specific graphing technique depends entirely on the content of your analysis. What's the story you're trying to tell? So you have to make a design choice that best tells the story. The better the design choice, the more compelling your story will be. Whoa! Well, this is a good example. A chart that's created in Excel looking at two different variables. Here we have pollution levels by carbon dioxide emissions on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal axis. Your default chart shows so much clutter that it's difficult to see the comparisons and the relationships across time. Each line represents a different world region. We have to go back and forth, however, between the legend and the chart and the legend, trying to figure out which color goes with which region. We have to lean into our computer screens and pull our books even closer. What's going on here in Eastern Europe? Now that's too hard. It's easier just to clean up the graphical clutter. First, let's get rid of these year labels. You really don't need them, and if you need that specificity, you can put them in a data table. Now we even have room to rotate slightly, and you can read the labels from left to right. And we can even size up the labels as well. Then we'll knock back the grid lines and tick marks, delete the extra decimals, get rid of all these marker points, reduce the number of intervals for the emission labels, and even move the legend to right about here, a more noticeable place. A lot of presenters try to clean up their charts and graphs by deleting part of the data. That's the last thing you want to do. If I hide a part of the data and show only the most recent 10 years, I have a much less compelling story to tell. I've lost historical comparisons amongst the regions. My ability to review and analyze the data is gone. That's much better. Now I can tell a compelling story about pollution across the world, but we can do even more. Let's look at another design choice. We can transform this data display in its single XY plotted area from a plain data graphic to an interesting infographic by changing the trend lines into area charts and simply sizing them down. All regions each have their own plotted area. They're nicely aligned with each other, and because the alignment and scales are the same, we can reduce some labeling on the interior charts. They force comparisons among themselves, and they're sorted from high to low. This is important because audiences always like to see information that is ranked. After inserting labels above each chart, we can now delete the legend, and that is always good graphical design practice. Since all graphs use the same scale, we can easily determine which regions contribute the most and least to carbon dioxide emission levels. We notice that more industrialized regions in general are significant contributors, but some have had more recent success than others in controlling emission levels. We now have a much more powerful visual display. There are no extraneous colors, harsh patterns, or other decorative elements to show the data. So there you have it, how to go from a cluttered line chart to a real infographic, one with multiple panels, 1,000 points of data, one that tells a compelling story over time. We are VisualResearch, communicating complexity with clarity.